Alright, so I'm doing another video today, and this one is directly about depression. And a lot of us suffer from depression. It's pretty normal, actually. Unfortunately, it's been such a stigma over the few years. And before that, it was just untalked about. Basically, it was a sickness, and people regarded it as like oh, you got depression, well, it's gonna, put you out of the pasture, and people don't like to talk about it. But I'd like to talk about it. I talk about it a lot with people who deal with it, and usually I don't say it out loud, and usually I don't talk about it in public. So this is going to be one of those times where I do it. Depression is a very weird thing. It's not, it's not a physical or mental. It's both. It's not, oh, I just feel bad. Like, that's, you just feel bad. Oh, I stepped on a snail today. Oh, I'm depressed. Like, that's, yeah, okay, yeah, maybe somebody gets triggered by that, but that's fine. But depression is a little more than just, feeling bad. It's an all-encompassing. It's like your entire universe becomes this gigantic black hole, and it's not like, oh, just feel better, go for a run, you'll be fine. That stuff just doesn't make any damn sense. You may as well be, suffering from cancer, and somebody says, oh, just drink a glass of milk, it'd be fine. That's how much sense it makes. It doesn't make any sense to us. I've dealt with depression since I was a kid, and it's been through meds, been through counselors, been through therapists, been through a lot of different stuff with it. Gonna say, for the record, medication does help. The wrong medication does not help. The wrong type of doctor does not help. The wrong type of help doesn't help, right? That makes sense to everybody. When it comes to medication, it's just a way of getting past certain things. There are people that have chemical imbalances, which is a completely different thing than emotional distraught depression, right? Or a symptom of something that happened, a trauma, for instance, or repeated trauma. So you have chemical imbalances, and you have trauma, and then you have a mixture of the two. Now, when it comes to chemical imbalance, like, you literally need to have something in place to balance those chemicals. Like, there's no if about that whatsoever. Like, you need to be checking that. It's kind of like not getting the right vitamins. You start taking the right vitamins. That's just the way it is. With the trauma, you take medication to bring you down to a certain level, and at that point, you can start dealing with what the problem actually is. So, I tell anybody, meds are there to get you past a certain point so that you are able to deal with who you are, how you are, and how to deal with that depression. That's like the big thing. It's not, take medications and everything's hunky-dory, it just doesn't work that way. Like, what, you going to be on medication the rest of your life just because you can't deal with something? Like, that is not how you evolve. That is not how you grow. Like, that's just stagnating, you know what I mean? We're here to evolve. We're here to get better. We're here to, make ourselves better. Like, my constant strive is to be a better person. That's it. Be a better person. If I have to take medication to be that better person and learn and then come off the medication, that's what I'm going to do. Like, that's how we should be doing it. I don't think that we should be on medication because we, lost our job and can't deal with it, and then we stay on medication forever and then eventually turn to alcoholism and all this other kind of stupid shit. That's just not how you deal with it. You deal with it by, bringing your mental state down, your physical state down to a level where you can manage it and you can focus on, behavioral therapies and talking through things and finding the right counselor, which is a completely different blog about finding the right counselor. I'll make something separate on that one. But that depression that you have to understand there's two sides to this. There's the physical and there's the mental. The physical is, it's like a catch-22, right? You say, okay, well, I feel bad. and my body doesn't want to work. I can't get up. I can't stand up. I can't go do stuff. So your mind is preventing your body, and your body is preventing your mind. So you have to pick one and go with it. Whether that's get your ass off the ground and go do something, or you're going to say, okay, well, I am going to mentally change the way I'm thinking about things. Easier said than done. I get it. Absolutely. Now, the thing that we have to deal with is other people saying things that make sense to them that don't have depression, not dealt with depression on a deep level. They're going to say things like, well, if you go for a jog, it'll make you feel better. Absolutely. For some people, that will make them feel better. In the short term, it does not do anything. Repetitive, yes, absolutely. A repetitive, vigorous, exercise program will help you physically and mentally. That said, it does not cure you. There's no specific cure for depression other than knowing how to cope, and that is the cure. Is coping. Coping is the cure. Coping comes from figuring out what it is that triggers you to be depressed, right? If you say, all right, well, every time I see, it's the snail thing again, every time I see a snail getting stepped on, I suddenly go into this deep depression about snails and how squishy they are and their houses get crushed under, on top of them. I know it's random, I'm very random. So taking that, and so if you know that that's something that causes issues, we'll figure out why. Why does it cause issues? Is there some sort of underlying issue, or is you just being, random about it? Is it something that you have to deal with? Is there something to remind you of something? Was there a trauma? It was, if there's no trauma and there's no specific thing to it, then maybe you should just figure out why that's causing an issue. But you have to deal with it. You have to figure out how to cope with it. And if you know that that's an issue, you cope with that specific issue. So let's take a very good example. Let's say people yelling at you causes you later to be triggered. And I say later because depression doesn't happen right away. There's like a weird cycle that happens and a chemical reaction in your brain that happens. It's usually not very instantaneous. And that's important for a lot of people who are trying to figure out depression to understand. It's not right away. It's not where, somebody yells at you and suddenly, bam, you're depressed, right? It doesn't really work like that. You usually end up being aggressive or angry or withdrawn, and there's like a knee-jerk reaction before you get to depression. And that's understanding yourself, understanding why you get triggered, how you get triggered, and how you get there. Let's just say someone yells at you. Someone just bottom of their voice just starts screaming at you, insults you. Now, your initial reaction depends on who you are and your mental state and how you deal with things. Let's just say you react withdrawn and you suddenly just shut down, right? That's not really depressed yet. Not yet. So you're saying, okay, well, my body shuts down and suddenly I'm saying, don't feel so great. I want to get away. I want to get away from all of this. Then, at some point, your brain does a little switch. And then suddenly your entire life gets, upside down. You don't want to do anything. You don't want to go anywhere. You don't want to talk to anybody. So that's understanding your cycle and understanding what triggers you and how your cycle works. So let's just say that that's your cycle. You have to understand if somebody's yelling at you, that's going to be your trigger. That's going to be your cycle. So if you know that, you can shortcut that. You can short circuit it, right? So you say, okay, well, this person's yelling at me. I know I'm going to react badly. So I'm going to cut this off and say, excuse me, sir, I got to go return some tapes. Joke, right? So you cut it off, you short circuit that, and you know that your brain is going to do it, whether you like it or not. Even if you cut off that, you just got triggered or traumatized by something that causes you to go into depression. So then you have to say, okay, well, I know my brain is going to do these certain things. Well, I'm going to go home and I'm going to do something that is not depressed and not in that cycle. So you're basically cutting it off and trying to do something else. You know it's coming, right? So let's just say you have you know that once you start going down that path, you're going to get really lazy. You're just not going to do anything. Well, then you do something really bizarre, and you do something. You go out and you do something crazy. Suddenly you go mow the lawn. I mean, it sounds really, really weird. Or suddenly you paint something. Or suddenly you physically exert yourself to the point where you're like vomiting essentially, right? Or you write a song, like, and that's going back to our other discussion about channeling, is you have to find, once you find that vein that's coming, and you know it's coming, that cycle's coming, then you do something with it. And that's kind of how you start short-circuiting the way things function, and you deal with that depression, you cope with it. If you know it's coming and you know the triggers, there's that's how you can do it. Fortunately, a lot of us, we have to get to a point in life where we can understand ourselves, and that's where self-exploration, all this other stuff happens. But it's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy, and everyone's gonna fail doing it. Everyone's gonna screw it up, but you have to keep at it. You have to keep doing it, and at some point, it's gonna get better. You just have to keep at it. And the people that are around you are gonna have a tough time with that. And depression isn't just about you. Everyone around you feels it. Everyone around you has to deal with your depression. So it's not just a single person thing, and that's okay. And you should accept that. You should not sit there and say, okay, well, I'm gonna bring all of my depression in, keep it inward, because that's self-harming in a way, and that's another discussion. So let your friends be there for you. Let your family be there for you. The more they understand about depression, the easier it is for you to evolve and learn and become better, because they are there to help you. Even those people you don't even know exist might be there for you in some way that you don't understand yet. Everything's out there, So I hope you just take a few minutes to think about that, and find what it is that causes you to do these cycles, or what's causing your cycle. What is it doing? So, all right. Well, here I'm signing off again. So if you leave comments, questions, answers, I'm here. All right. Bye.